Hello, everyone. Hey, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to another episode of The Front, the live leaderships lessons series. Tonight, I'm going to be interviewing a great guest. I'm going to be interviewing Joe Cala, so I'm going to pull him in here in just a moment. But right now, a couple quick reminders. You can always check out the website at leadtheteam.net for free sales training, for motivational content, and for leadership tips. So please do that. Make sure you subscribe at leadtheteam.tv. Click the little bell notification icon because that will remind you each time I either upload a new episode or if I'm going live on YouTube. So I'd love to have you join me for that. And right now, let's get into it.
Thanks for tuning in to Lead the Teams, The Front.
Yes, here we are, Mr. Joe Cala. Good evening, sir. Thank you for joining me tonight on this episode. How you doing tonight, man?
Good, Mike. How are you? Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be a part of what you're doing, man.
Absolutely. So, first off, we were just talking. You're in, where are you? You're Myrtle Beach?
Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
And I'm in Colorado Springs, and we've got some thunderstorms. So as
I just heard the thunder rolling in the background. So
it's crazy. So we're streaming live just in case if anything goes a little wonky for the people that are watching out there. We'll come back. I'm recording this episode, so we'll make sure that we get that reposted as well. So let's get into the lesson. Joe, first off, I'm going to pull this up over here. Share a little bit with us, just a real brief history of who you are, what you do, and where you're at right now.
You got it, man. Well, my name is Joe Cala. I currently am operating my company, JC Training and Development. I'm in the automotive industry, and I also have a ministry that we run, Today's Living Ministries, and we travel into churches and work with church leadership and also work with their staff to help them in their communication lines with their congregation members and visitors, but also specifically do BDC training for sales and for service in the automotive industry, as well as sales training specific to the floor sales, the showroom sales, and we work with the management as well. So the main goal is we'd like to come alongside whatever organization it is, whether we're in the church or whether we're with the automotive dealership, and we like to go ahead and help train their people to maximize profits and also manage their processes to get the best results possible.
So those are two little different ends of the spectrum there. You got automotive industry and then religion industry, right?
Yeah.
So what do you see that crosses lines between those two? What do you see the things that you see that those two businesses, because there is a business in religion as well that you have to run so that you can continue ministering to people. What lines would you see that get crossed and carry similarities?
Well, the first thing is there's people in both industries, and that's what it comes down to, is that you're dealing with people. And my goal is to help invest into people and also help people uncover their treasures to walk out their divine and their life purpose that I believe God puts into every single person. And so whether you're in the church or you're in the automotive industry, you're a person and you're interacting with other people. And so a lot of what I do is also character building, and also to go ahead and make sure that we pour into and invest and impart something that lasts. I would always say to people when I would work with in the industry, in the sales industry and in the dealership, I remember saying this to many people, and that is this: look, one day Joe Cala won't be around you any longer. But what I want to make sure happens is that when I'm no longer around you, I'm still in your mind. I'm still with you wherever you go. Something I said is carrying with you and has helped develop you and shape you into a person of integrity and quality, so that you can bring value to whatever position you hold in the dealership or whatever you're doing in the church. So that's my goal, and that's kind of the parallel I see that intersects between the auto industry and also the church world.
That's strong, man. That's really good. So if there was something specifically, either automotive or in the church world, as you called it, if there was something specifically that Joe Cala was known for, other than watching over them, because you just said, hey, I want you to make sure you know I'm there, right?
Yep.
If there was
Yep.
that one thing that you would say you're known for, your perception of what other people's perception of you is, what would you say that is, Joe?
It's I'm a positive person. I like Gary Vee. He said it this way. Gary Vee said he's a glass half full, only kind of mentality, and that's kind of what I feel that I've been known for wherever I go and whatever I. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I gotcha. So I heard the first
Did I go
part.
digital on you?
You got a little digital, but that, like I said, it's going to happen. That's part of live. So yes, I would agree. You're a positive person for sure. I'm going to pull us both back on here. Do
Yeah.
I
So
still have you?
positive person is what I feel that's been.
The fact that you are in different stores, you're in different facilities, you are seeing different leaders in different areas. And so you have a perception of leadership within automotive. You certainly have a perception of leadership being a reverend, being in churches. So what are some key characteristics from any one of those levels? What are some key characteristics that you would say define a leader?
I think the first thing is just a genuine care for the people that you're leading. And I think that once you realize that you care, or when you're in a leadership position, I really truly believe you need to care and love the people that you're over, whether you're in the auto industry or whether you're in, the church world, whatever it might be, or whatever position you're in, just as a leader in and of itself. I really believe that loving your people and caring for your people is the number one key characteristic. When you care, I've heard someone say that people don't really care how much you know until they know how much you care. And once you allow the care that you have for somebody to come out and be genuine, and that person knows that you care about them, you care about what concerns them, you care about the things that are important to them, the people who are important to them, the dates of what's going on in their life, and during each month, whatever it is specifically that they care about. When you show someone that you're leading, that you care about them, you truly are going to make an impact in their life. Another key characteristic, I believe, is honesty. Truly being able to say what you need to say, even though it might not be popular and it might not be something that's easy to say. And I believe that goes a long way, because it's like a parent who loves a child. Sometimes you have to say things that isn't always, a feel good thing, but it's a straight to the you're saying the truth, and you're saying it right to the situation or the whatever it is they're dealing with, so that you can help them get through it. And it's not always going to be something that's easy to say or easy to experience with the back and forth of that conversation. But true honesty, truth, and then obviously care, just caring for your people.
Absolutely. I think all of those are huge. I mean, you said love and care, honesty, and really total, like, I don't know if you want to call it brutal honesty, but
Yeah.
just total transparency. That there's something to be said about total trust, that
Yep.
unconditional love of people, that you care about somebody enough to
Mhm.
tell them the truth. I think that's huge.
Yeah.
So,
And let me just say this real quick too, and that
yeah,
is, the positions that I've held in the past, different stores or whatever levels of leadership that I've held. One of the things that makes me realize that my leadership was impactful is that the people after I leave still stay in touch with me. They reach out to me. They text me. They email me. They send me things that remind them of the times that we worked together or whatever it might be. So again, the impact is when you leave. If you never like you never hear from them again or anything like that, a lot of, and that's fine. Things go on. I get it. Life goes on. But when I start hearing from people that are long gone from years ago, that means I made an impact, and that's really what it comes down to.
absolutely. I think that's a really big deal. You can tell by, when you leave somewhere, if they're like, oh my goodness, thank goodness he's out of here, right? And you never hear from him again. It's like you
Yeah,
still made an impact, but is it the impact that you wanted to make?
true. True.
So, as we're talking about leadership here, what would you say? You know, because you're doing BDC, you are preaching. You're preaching in various churches and different avenues. Tell us a little bit about that. Tell us a little bit about where you're going and how that's working, because we got into that conversation for just a moment right before we went live, and I can tell, man, that is something you are super passionate about, which is exciting to hear when someone's passionate
Yeah.
about something.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's definitely I believe it's a calling that God has placed on my life, and that is to go out and to speak and proclaim, the word of God and the gospel, the good news, so that I can go ahead and touch people and lead people to a relationship with God through Jesus Christ. That is my faith. That is me. That's something that is, when you get me, that's who you are, who you get. I don't go in and bring that to a place where it crosses into into a sticky situation ever, because I always make sure that who I am is who you see. And so, I may not be saying specifically, well, the Bible says this or the Bible says that. I'm just going to live that. But the one thing that I do and make sure that I do is, I set myself apart to spend time with God through prayer and reading His Word, and also making sure that I seek Him for opportunities to be able to share His Word with people, whether it's through church services, whether it's through conferences, or being able to have one-on-one conversations with people. And so we've really had opportunity, thank God. We have a ministry called Today's Living Ministries, and we utilize that to go out. We speak at churches. We do this pretty often, as well as I do my Facebook Lives on my page as well. And so that we can really go, do something that's going to have an eternal impact, not just something for today.
Yeah, and I've seen your Facebook Lives on your page, man. They're awesome. They're always impactful. They're well thought out. The things that you offer and you bring to people, not just on the spiritual side, but on the training side, and just you as a person, are very congruent with who you are as a person, if that makes sense.
Thank you.
So, yeah, as we've all heard it asked, if you could go back in time and give yourself one good solid piece of advice, and we know we can't go back in time. So if you were giving somebody in this next generation a really good piece of advice, hey, here's what you need to do from this point going forward so that you can really see some success in business and in leadership and in where it is that you're headed from here forward, what one or two things would you tell somebody else that wants to move into a leadership or a management role?
So I'll say this: when leading people, their worth and their behaviors are two different things. Because too many times, especially in my young leadership, I blew people out of the water, man. I would just, they maybe did something wrong, and they weren't, they were valuable, but their behavior needed to be changed. So I needed to make sure. So what I would say to my younger self or to somebody coming up is that when leading people, their worth and their behavior are not the same. We want to keep the person, but change the behaviors. So we want to be able to make sure that we lead them and show them how to change that behavior so that they can do things the way that they need to be done, and they can grow in the process. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that's a really strong statement, man. That's fantastic. Repeat that one more time, if you would, for me.
Sure. So one of the things that I've noticed in my growth in leadership is that people's worth and their behaviors are not the same. So too many times leaders, they destroy the person and their worth and their value by trying to, correct them. But we don't want to destroy them. We want to keep them. We want them to understand they're still worth a lot and they're valuable, but their behaviors need to change. And so the
Got it.
behavior and the worth are two separate entities. So you talk to the person in value. Look, I value you. This behavior needs to be changed. However, you're important and what you do is important. And because you're so important, this needs to change in how you do this so that your behavior can now line up with your value. Make sense?
Absolutely, man. That is strong. I love it. Thank you, Joe. Man, that's empowering to me right now. Like that's the ulterior motive for myself, is as I'm hearing people like you and other just amazing individuals talk, is I'm learning also, and it's like, gosh, that is such a powerful statement you just shared. So we're coming to the tail end. Passion. People's passion. And like I said, I know when I was speaking with you, you got really passionate about talking about faith and then the training and so forth. People's passion is a huge deal in business. And we've heard other leaders say, well, what you got to do to be successful is you got to find your passion, Joe. So what one or two ways do you have some suggestions for people to be able to find their passion, or find what they're passionate about, find what they're good at, and really help them move forward in that area?
Well, a couple of things I think can help people find their passion. First and foremost, a lot of times we find out what we do like by discovering first and foremost what we don't like. And when we understand what's not something that makes us excited, well, we can weed that out of the way and say that's not it. But I do believe, and I've said this to you before, I think in the past, and that is, I believe that people's passion is what you think about. It's what you dwell on. It's what you meditate about. It's what you think about all the time. It's what you're constantly referring back to in your mind. A lot of time your passion comes up when you're laying in bed and you're quiet and you're in that moment of that place of quiet where you can actually hear yourself. And so when you're allowing yourself to pull away from noise and the distractions, you know, those moments are very important, to be able to sit in a quiet place. And it's hard to do. Too many times we're looking at our phones, we're letting ourselves mindlessly scroll,
Right.
We're listening to music, or we're driving. There's always, wherever there's background music somewhere. The TV might be on in the background, music's playing, whatever it is. I think that in order for us to find what our passion is, we need to be able to come to a place of quietness. Whether it's just taking the time, 15 minutes, 20 minutes at the end of the night, whatever it is, find that place. And the other thing is, I believe it's already in there. I think that everything that God gave us to do has been put inside of us. And I used this example before, and I've talked about this with you when I talk about the old school cameras.
Sure.
Are you still able to hear me okay, Mike?
Yep.
Okay. The old school cameras, when you go ahead and take a picture with the old school camera, the shutter opens, the light then burns an image into the film, and the film then had to be developed, and that film would be brought into a dark room, and it would be put underneath solution, and all that black stuff would wash away, and eventually what would develop was the image that was burned onto that piece of film. Well, I believe that there's something burned into every one of our hearts. I believe that when we allow ourselves that quiet place to where we can just, let, ourselves hear what we're thinking, I believe that's where God can then start exposing and developing that image that was burned there, especially when we take time to seek Him in prayer, as through His Word, and also looking to Him for guidance. I start to see and hear what direction then I need to go. And I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of times where I've not made the right choices and I haven't gone down the right roads. So again, then that's when we come back to the place where we say, well, a lot of times we can discover what we do like by understanding and recognizing what we don't like and what's not right. And so again, that's where I think people can find their passion, is when they go to the owner's manual. It's the same way if you're looking to go ahead and find out how something works the right way on your car, you reference the owner's manual. If you're looking to be able to find out how to get something set back to the factory reset and default back to what its original settings were supposed to be. And so that's where I believe we can find out our passion.
All right. So, Joe, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. And we made it through it even with technical difficulties. We got rain and thunderstorms on both of our ends. So we just keep plugging along. You keep going through it and overcome that adversity. So,
That's
Joe,
right, bro.
How can people get a hold of you, sir?
They can go to my website, josephacala.com, or you can call me on my cell phone, 848-248-0730, 848-248-0730. Or like I said, josephacala.com. And that's pretty much has all my information right there.
Fantastic.
Or on Facebook.
Yeah. Absolutely. You look him up on Facebook. And Joe is an absolutely fantastic person, a fantastic mentor, fantastic friend, somebody to connect with. I would strongly encourage you, for anybody watching this episode, if you're watching it live and you made it through it with us, or if you're watching it later, then please, I would encourage you, connect with Joe, especially, if you're in a facility that needs really quality BDC or sales training. He's a go-to. He's really, really strong. So, Joe, thank you again for joining me today. I sure appreciate it.
My pleasure, Mike. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So that is going to bring us to a close on this episode of Live Leadership Lessons with Joe Cala. Make sure and check out the YouTube channel at leadtheteam.tv. I do the podcast every Wednesday and Sunday. Wednesday, we're doing these live leadership lessons, and Sundays are more traditional style podcasts that you can tune in and listen to. They range anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes. So for those of you that joined in live, thank you so much. If you're watching later, that's fantastic. Do me a favor. One thing I forgot to say at the beginning, share the video. Share this video. Let's get the word out, because Joe's an awesome person and everybody should be able to experience him. So thank you everybody for tuning in and joining us. And until next time, I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day. We'll talk to you soon, everybody.